So I'm walking home from the bus stop, and there's this blank CD on the ground in the gutter, and it has no writing on it or nothing. And for some reason, I just picked it up, and I walked the rest of the way home with it, and I put it in my CD player, and it was Dragon Force. It was so intriguing to me. It was so fast and so technical. And as that 7th grade, 12-year-old kid, I was just like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And that was like what completely, if I didn't pick up that CD on the ground, I would have not been making metal at all. But it completely, like, I got completely obsessed over that.
Real quick before getting into today's episode, just wanted to shout out a few quick things. First of all, we have a Patreon. For as low as $1.50 a month, you can get early access to these episodes as well as your name in the credits. And with the $5 tier, you can gain access to member-only channels in our Discord server, as well as be a part of the group calls that Yan and I do every second Friday. Secondly, we have merch. 2 designs that we absolutely love. You can find those over at indiemerchstore.com. And last but not least, we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, see these as they happen. We do those every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. Yeah, that's it. Links to everything I just mentioned will be in the description, along with links to our Discord server and our other socials. That's it. That's all I got to plug. Enjoy the episode. Jacob, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and to do this, man.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it. We were talking on text maybe like a week and a half ago, and I was like, dude, we should totally do stuff. We were bonding over like just old deathcore, like 2 bros do, you know, and I'm really glad it worked out on a day that I could do it, you know.
Yeah, man, it was I mean, look, we gotta kind of talk about what initially sparked it all. Like, we messaged before, but this time there was the Garza podcast we were on, shameless plug, and we shouted out Shadow of the Colossus, and that was by far the band that people latched onto the most in the comments, to I think your surprise, but to our surprise even as well. So I was like, hey, I mean, the people are wanting it. Clearly, the people love the band. How does it feel having some Shadow of the Colossus love in 2025?
Man, it's crazy because that band was just like something I did with like my best friends from high school. We were in another band that was signed to Metal Blade Records called Fate, and that band kind of was just like very, very extreme technical. At the end of where we, you know, decided to call it quits, it was very extreme and technical, and kind of like we didn't see much response. We were pretty much just like, okay, sick riffs, and you know, we were like, this is probably the best stuff that we've ever written. And at that time, it was really into just like people were tuning lower and getting heavier and playing slower and stuff. And so Shadow of the Colossus was kind of just like, all right, we're gonna write some heavy shit, and we're going to do it our way, but we're going to play the game of like trying to be what's popular, but we're just going to do it the way we do it. And so that was kind of how Shadow of the Colossus started. But yeah, having that come back and reading that in the comments is crazy. I didn't know people like even knew who we were, because we played 1 show ever, you know, so it was pretty crazy to see that, you know, just Bandcamp or MySpace or whatever it was, Facebook at the time, like kind of pushed that out into the deathcore ethos that ended up being something that was a little bit, you know, like it would come up in conversations. That's just cool to me. Super cool.
Yeah, I mean, on top of, you know, and we'll talk about this a little bit further down, but like not on Spotify, not on Apple Music, right? Like an easy way to forget about a band if you're not on streamers in this day and age, right?
Yeah, totally. And the fact that we didn't play shows, and like the merch that we sold was literally like printed in my friend Chris Doobie's garage. Like I printed the merch with him. So like none of the things that would really cause a band to like make it through time kind of was in our favor, I guess, except for the music itself, which, you know, like I said, I thought that it was our kind of like, oh, you want to be stupid? Well, we're going to be stupid this way. And, you know, everybody liked it, you know, so everybody wins. We felt a little more popular. Everybody liked the heavier style. So kind of like everybody wins, you know?
No, that's cool. There's also, I kind of noticed too, and I mean, look, it's this way for me as well, and all the respect to everything else you guys put out, but the self-titled, I feel like specifically is what usually always gets brought up as well. Do you have like an inkling as to why like that specific album like is near and dear to people more than Endgame or the single afterwards or anything else?
It's more raw, I think. Like the guitar tones and like the drums are all like samples from my real drum set and like stuff that I played. Whereas like Endgame, we moved more into programming everything just because it was more cost effective for our recordings. Um, but I mean, like we had been growing up in like 3 or 4 different bands recording with this guy Bobby Swanson in Sacramento. Shout out Bobby. He owns Mayhemness Studios. We had been recording with him for probably like 6-7 years at this point, and we were the one band that kind of like would push him on stuff. Like not to say that he didn't push himself. Obviously, he's great, but we would push each other. He would have us in there doing stuff that he didn't do with other bands, and then we would on the mix phase and stuff. We would be like more this, more that, and we kind of like helped each other like become better. And so that record, the self-titles, was like a culmination of like a lot of years of work with Bobby, and he really stepped up that record, specifically like sampling all the instruments instead of using like other people's samples that everybody used, and like doing the extra thing on guitar tracking and reamping and like layering, and like that was that was the first time we ever reamped something and like really tweaked out on stuff. And it just has this weird like you can't understand really what the guitars are doing sometimes, but that's like good in a way. Like you can't hear what's actually happening, but it adds to like the chaoticness of it, and it adds to like the vibe of like this is just really intense fucking noise, and it's like heavy, and like I don't know. There's something I think personally for me about that record too. That's like that's my probably favorite record in that band's like anthology is that one.
Well, you did something special, because if I speak for myself, usually if there's not like 50 breakdowns per song, I'm less interested in general. And I mean, you guys, there are some breakdowns, but it's not like the entire thing at all. And yet, I could listen to the entire thing, because for context, it took me forever. I was sleeping on it. I didn't even know. And Dom kept talking about it. And he's into really techie stuff. I just figured, oh, maybe it's not in my mind. I didn't know if I would like it. Clicked on it. It was on repeat for days. And I think a big reason why it's so good is all the details. It's hard to explain, but all the details in the ambient, like ambience and sounds, like it's always, you said it right, it's always a vibe no matter where you are. It's gonna sound it's gonna sound corny, but like it's like telling a story the entire time, if that makes sense. That's how
It does. That was that was something that our guitarist Bryce really liked to focus on, was like that third guitar part. Like a lot of people at that time were kind of worried about like, can we play this live and all this stuff. And like I said, we only played one show, and it was in our hometown like bar venue. So we, it was just a bunch of our friends. But like for the recording thing, like we just were like, we want to put a third guitar on pretty much every part, whether it's just octaves being ambient with some reverb or something like it. Then it becomes less of a riff and more of like a part of a song. And we're going from part to part to part, instead of like, there's also like, when I listen back to that album, there's not a lot of like repeat sections.
No,
it's not a lot of pop structure like today is, where there's like a standout chorus or there's a standout section that gets repeated 2 or 3 times. It's more like a riff library, whereas maybe it doesn't have to have those breakdowns that are interesting, but like the fact that every next riff is a new riff you haven't heard before, that's what makes it more interesting,
That's what I love about, and look, I like technical deathcore and tech death or whatever. Yeah, because it's fast and it's technical and stuff, but also because a lot of it is kind of that the riff salad. It's you're always surprised by what the next thing is, and you're not like looped into this one riff for 10 minutes at a time. Like it's constantly evolving, and I personally love that sort of stuff. So on that album specifically, you're totally right. Like it really does. kind of just keep on moving, and from song to song as well. Like I feel like the songs especially, there's no like two songs back to back that sound samey. Like there's, you know, you guys are good at doing the more mid-tempo song into like a super fucking fast song and blending the two. I don't know. It's it's a cool thing.
I think another aspect of that record too, that the songwriting on that record is like, my brother Devin, he played bass in the band, but he was a really big songwriting influence. Like him and Bryce really pretty much wrote everything 50-50, and then I would just come in afterwards and do drums to it.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely wrote guitar parts like I do in Molotov Solution. But like Devin really spent a lot of time on the transitions between parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, like I was listening to, because I'm just obsessed with Despise.com's new song right now. So I was listening to like Bulletproof Scales and a bunch of the old stuff. And like they have this tendency to just like bring in a riff by just like pausing the entire song and then bringing in the riff, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a super hard transition. It makes your ears perk up. It's like, okay, I'm in a new section. I'm getting hyped up for whatever next. Whereas Devin preferred to like make sure everything kind of blended together with either an extra bar on the end with a scale or some kind of different pattern that would, you know, lead into the next part. He was very conscious of the parts fitting together. And I think that helps with the listeners' journey through the song, you know. Just the opposite helps in an opposite way. I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but that's, I think, is an aspect of that record that I focus on.
There's a lot of melodies that would like lead guitars that would, like you said, would really bleed into the next riff, like for bars sometimes, right? It would really transition over, and I gotta give it to the fucking drum fills for the same kind of reason. There's like some crazy drum fills on the album that to me really like make those transitions even more interesting a lot of times. So there's something. And
that's like that was the last record that we actually just like jammed in a garage. Like that's how we wrote the record, was like they would play riffs and then I would get on my drum set and we would just smoke a bunch of weed and like play in Bryce's garage in like 110-degree Sacramento summers. Like we didn't care. We were out there like 2-3 hours a day, you know? So that was like another aspect of like how that like fit together, is like when you're playing something live with somebody else in the room and you're like vibing off each other and then you're going into a new part, it's way easier to figure out what feels good than trying to like, okay, I'm going to spend 10-15 minutes programming this drums and I hope this is right, you know? And then, well, it's not exactly right, but maybe if I force it a little bit, then it'll be right-ish, you know? Whereas like when you're playing with somebody, it's really easy to feel like, oh fuck, that feels terrible to go into that part, or that feels fucking amazing to go into that part. We should do that, you know? It's a lot easier to write, this style of music, I think, without the computer, which is like the exact opposite way everybody's writing it nowadays.
Which probably plays into like how we were talking about telling a story in the song. So like if you take all the elements, you're saying you were together in a room, the transitions were smooth, there was a lot of detail. So I'm understanding at the moment that there was actually the right thing to say would be there was a lot of thoughts and details into everything, as opposed to, and as much as maybe it felt natural at the time, like when I'm like there's so many details. I think that's what I told Dom at first. I was like, oh my god, like the ambience is not, I feel like the line, it's so easy to either make it less heavy or it's blending too much or it's so out of place that it's like, what is that? But the line is really difficult. But with you guys, if something, sometimes it makes it heavier and it just makes it better. So I feel like all the details are playing into it. Like I remember thinking there's so much, like you would bring back your patterns, but it would be just slightly different. Like I would hear just slowly, I'm like, it's almost the same, but they still tweaked it.
Loves that shit so much.
Yeah, I think that's an aspect of like the recordings nowadays too, is like for me, that record sounds like a band. Mm-hmm. You know, that record sounds like a band playing together, and not just the idea or the mind of one person for this section because they wrote that section, and then another person for another section because they wrote that section. It's actually a like culmination, and that's a, you know, I'm sorry to bring in Nashville so soon, but like that is a big thing of like how we make music in Nashville, is that like when I go into record a country album, I have a 7-piece band. You know, it's bass, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, steel, keys, drums, and so it's like each decision that those guys make in the moment makes somebody else make a different decision, and every take is like a culmination of how they all hear and interact on the fly. It's live getting recorded. So that same aspect in metal like brings, even though it's all quantized and all edited, it like brings some sort of weird humanity to it that you can like the people who like listen to this shit that can fucking smell the bullshit, right? Like, so like, dude, The Cleansing, that album, I didn't even know it was all recorded live until like years later. And that thing just makes me feel a certain way, dude, because they're just doing it in a fucking room together. Like, it was literally like a show. And I'm not saying that's how we recorded our album, but like, that album specifically has a different thing to it that not a lot of shit gets right nowadays, you know, if at all.
Yeah, it might also be because we had this discussion so many times. Like I like EPs still, like the Suicide Silence EP, the Chelsea Green EP, all those stuff. And I think you just said the reason. It's because there's all those guys, they were playing together, they were recording together. There was an energy that is, different about that. Not to say that the rest isn't good, but there's only so much you can replicate, right? But an energy in a room, I don't.
Yeah, and different people's opinions, right, too. Like, just...
Yeah. To be fair, too, I was going to say that, like, I personally, when I'm creating music, it's very hard for me to be creative in that way that's very free and open. But, like, as a listener, as a fan, I love that. But, like, as a creator, it's very hard for me to let go of, like, perfection, because it's at my fingertips. I use Pro Tools on a daily basis. So, like, fixing this and doing that, and then by the time the fucking whole song is edited, and it's very, very hard for me mentally to work on something that's not perfect, even though, like I said, that's like a record that we all aspire to, like, make something that makes other people feel like that or sounds like that.
Yeah,
it's like it's funny because like it's a very like,
but you have to. Yeah,
it's a very ethereal way to talk about metal too. You know what I'm saying? Because like somebody who listens from the outside, like I caught a little bit of the stream earlier before I came in, and you guys were talking about like country and how like you couldn't tell any country artists apart. And like, I'm exactly the same. When I first came to town, I had been in metal bands for like 10 years and I had not listened to the radio or any popular music in 10 years. And so like, I didn't know which artist was doing what or anything. So it's almost like to see this conversation that we're having from the outside of somebody who doesn't listen to metal, they're just like, it's all just screaming music. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah.
But there is really like, when you dissect it, like you guys do on this podcast, which I think is a great thing, that like, it definitely brings in more perspective to fans of the music who are already fans of it too, which is always a good thing. I think, I think people having perspective, especially on such an elitist community as metal is,
What do you mean elitist? What are you saying?
I'm the same way, man. I mean, my whole criteria for listening to music when I was in bands was like, if I can play it, I don't want to listen to it. And so I got to this, I got to this level of like almost unlistenable music where I was like, yeah, that's the shit. But it really,
what was like top tier, like unlistenable, crazy bad
well, I
shit?
mean, it's not unlistenable because I love it, but like Beneath the Massacre, dude. The Frenchies, bro, like they fucking know what's up. That band is like one of my biggest influences. Also, like the Apostasy and Demigod from Behemoth. Before they went a little more black metal, they're fucking late 40s or whatever. So I can see them wanting to play slower every night and not write a bunch of shit. Cattle Decapitation, like all those bands that are just like, holy fuck, what's happening for 4.5 minutes, and then the next song is the exact same thing for another 4 minutes. So that's the kind of stuff where I kind of got up to at the end of my like regular metal listening days about 10-12 years ago. But I mean, like I say unlistenable, I mean like there's no common ground I could find with somebody who doesn't listen to metal, whereas like Spirit Box or some more progressive band, maybe even like I hate to say it, but Sleep Token, somebody like that might find a little more common ground with somebody who doesn't necessarily listen to metal.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely more approachable at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we talk about that a lot, but you still, whether you like these bands or not, you need gateway bands like that are gonna introduce people. Like no one or almost no one, like they all act like they were born and then they would be listening to black metal. Like that's not how it works for most people. Like we got introduced to it, like it's slower. I was the classic kids who started with like old Divorce.
Yeah, I want to hear your guys's like origin stories on metal, because I guarantee I have one of the wildest like how I picked up metal. I want to hear you guys first.
Though. That's
no, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, it's a very, very like random, like it literally should not have happened. I want to tell it after I hear yours though.
I'm so excited to hear yours.
It's not like a crazy story, but it's just a crazy circumstance that like it doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay, well, look, the TLDR for the both of us, if I can speak for you, Yan, we both grew up on pop punk and emo and all that sort of stuff, and we were both scene kids at some point. And
like set your goals and stuff like that.
Blink 182, Sum 41.
Okay, yeah, even more mainstream.
Yeah, and then into emo, like for me, it was like Under Oath and Silverstein and all that kind of stuff.
They're Only Chasing Safety is the best record. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I was the classic, Elysia, Bless the Fall, and all those bands that really transitioned very well with early The Divorce Prada and the first time I heard a breakdown.
So yeah, like what was the first time like you heard metal, like metal, and you were like, okay, this is crazy? Like no singing kind of. Well, I mean, mine was singing, but still, it was just like I had never heard anything like it before,
So for me, it was Pray for Plagues by Barbarian. I think it was the first one, because I was about to say Slipknot, but I mean, like it's not really, it was still singing in it. So I would say Pray for Plagues. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Unearth and As LA Dying and all that stuff aside, would have been like hopping into MySpace and having like the Whitechapels and Suicide Silence, the early stuff. That was when the current world that we exist in kind of opened my eyes to that whole thing, right?
Yeah. So my story is just, it is the most crazy thing to me because it could have easily just have never happened. So I'm like in 7th grade. It's like I switched schools. So I went to this school, kindergarten to 6th grade, where you like call your teachers by their first names and like weird, like just it was crazy. And so I get this culture shock because I get put into like a 7th and 8th grade where you have uniforms and you like ride the bus and you call your teachers by their first or by their last names and stuff. So I'm like completely like kind of like no friends, kind of like looking for something, right? And so I'm walking home from the bus stop, and there's this blank CD on the fucking ground in the gutter, and it has no writing on it or nothing. And for some reason I just picked it up and I walked the rest of the way home with it, and I put it in my CD player, and it was fucking Dragon Force. And like for a kid who's like literally I just listened to like Limp Bizkit and Disturbed and stuff. And so for a kid who's just never heard anything like that, it was Fury of the Storm, and I was just like, what in the fuck is this shit? And just after that moment, me and my friend Eric, we would just go on searches for like any kind of metal that we possibly could. It was so intriguing to me. It was so fast and so technical. And I was just like, the noises that Herman Lee makes on his guitar are fucking incredible too. Nowadays I can only listen to like 1 or 2 Dragon Force songs because they're all the same song just over and over again. But as that 7th grade, like 12-year-old kid, I was just like, this is the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And that was like what completely, if I didn't pick up that CD on the ground, I would have not been making metal at all. But it completely, like, I got completely obsessed over that.
Dude, honestly, first of all, the story is amazing, but in my life, I would have never guessed out of anything Dragon Force.
I know, right?
But it's hilarious because a lot of people have the same gateway band because of like Guitar Hero and shit like that, but not from a fucking random CD on the ground,
right? CD on the ground.
Yeah, no, the fact
CD, no less.
I think the fact that, or the thing that intrigued me the most, or that interested me the most, was like the speed of it, and that's a common theme for like metal, is like the extremeness of it. Yeah. So I feel like that's what made me like, okay, if there's a guy who can play fucking guitar like this, like there's got to be a guy who can play drums. There's got to be a vocalist who sounds like some kind of fucking weird demon, like it ended up just evolving into like Beneath the Massacre, which is literally all of those
Yeah.
things. You know, it's just like everybody's playing their instrument at 100% of their capability for the entire length of the song and the entire length of the set. That's
Super Saiyan music.
yeah. That's what I literally was just like, what the fuck is this? And I never went back. Like I said, it took me like 10 years to move to Nashville and like not be in metal bands anymore, you know? And the reason I moved here was because I love music so much. Like metal bands and metal people, fans of metal music, are really special to me because like the metal band kind of does it for the love of the music. They're like in the grand scheme of comparing it to pop music or country music, like there's no fans, there's no money, there's no girls, you know, like
only
there's
guitar players.
There's only guitar players and drummers and vocalists that are just like trying to impress each other, and like it's just like the we do it for the absolute love of the music. So like that was where I came from. I wanted to be like, okay, I got to figure out a way to make a living doing music, and I didn't want to move to LA because I grew up in California, so I just moved to Nashville.
One of the best comparison that I have for that, it's the same exact thing that people starts to work out, and in their mind, girls are gonna notice, and then it's just dudes who are like,
yeah, it's like 90% dudes like, I know what you did to do that, so yes, fuck yeah.
Or the mustache is another one in general.
Yeah.
Like you have a mustache, and all the dudes are, "Oh, your mustache," and girls are just like, "What is fuck is that?" That's like,
yeah,
know,
exactly. No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Look, speaking of Nashville, real quick, you mind telling us what's
I thought you were about to say, speaking of mustache, it would have been.
Speaking of mustaches, no, but tell us what's going on right now in your building, because I just think it's a funny thing.
Yeah, so I work in like a studio, so there's a bunch of different smaller studios on this floor, and we have 2 other floors, but usually this time of night nobody's here. So I pulled up to the studio, and there's like 150 people outside and like 9 SUVs in the parking lot, and there's security walking around the parking lot, and you know, I can't park here. I got to park next door, they say. So I park next door, and I walk up, and the guy's like giving me the 3rd degree about what I'm doing there, and like I'm just like, dude, I work here. And so I scan my key card, and he's like, okay, you're good. You have a key card. I trust you. And I come in here, and I guess IShowSpeed is streaming in the room behind me with Moneybag writing a song with Ernest. Just the most random. Like I almost couldn't get in here to do this interview because they were locked down so tight. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy, dude.
Does that sort of thing happen a lot in Nashville? Because you do talk about collaboration and all this sort of stuff, right? Like I'm assuming there's always a lot of ins and outs and random people kind of always showing up, especially if it's like a bunch of studios in the same kind of place.
Yeah, usually this is kind of like an 11 to 4 kind of place, even for writers. The producers will stay a little bit longer to work on stuff, but like it's a little bit spotty. Like, you know, people will show up here, but usually this is like a business office pretty much. So like we do the business here, we write the songs. Also like it's on a road with a bunch of other businesses that do the same thing. So like there's a bunch of tours that go around like on buses. So like there's not a lot of this happening here. So like this is definitely not normal. I drove up and I was like, oh shit, am I gonna be even able to get in the office? Like they have this shit locked down? I didn't know who it was until I got inside, but yeah, it's crazy.
That's funny, man. All right, let's take it all the way back. I want to nerd out a little bit. Do you mind kind of walking us through a little bit of you talked about getting into metal, but you have a twin brother, am I correct?
Yeah, Devin Durrett, or Devin Dawson is his artist name in Nashville, but we've always been in bands together since we were like 11 years old.
Yeah, so talk to me a little bit about that, like kind of growing up and I don't know, doing Metallica covers and classic rock shit with him and Bryce even from way back in the day. Yeah,
I mean, we all met in like 7th, 8th grade, and we were in a band just kind of writing instrumental music because we didn't really, when you're in a band that young, it's hard to find a singer, first of all, that can sing on key if you want to have like clean singing.
Yeah.
And then to like figure out, we wanted to like figure out even if we wanted screaming and because we were just starting to listen to that stuff then. So it was almost like we just wrote a bunch of 6-minute instrumental songs that were just way too long. But yeah, just like more Metallica stuff. And then we actually started like going to shows ourself on the weekends. And like, dude, back in 2004 to 2007, you like you showed up to every show. Didn't matter who was playing. You didn't need to see. There was a show every weekend. You had $40 for merch. Like every single weekend, I had probably 300 band shirts, hoodies, fucking jerseys, whatever, you know. That's just what we did back then. We just showed up to every show. And so like there was this local band in Sacramento called Conducting from the Grave. And their singer was this guy named Drew, and we just loved that band so much. And so I don't even know how this happened, but somehow we got Drew to come to one of our band practices. I have no idea. He must have been 18. We must have been 16 or 15. But we got him to come to one of our band practices. And I mean, dude, when I say we sucked, we sucked. We played the worst music. There wasn't even like really any breakdowns. It was just all metalcore. There was no death anywhere. It was all metalcore. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Drew just kept coming by. And like being in a band like Conducting from the Grave, it was crazy because they were so like good for that era. You know, I remember like going to sleep listening to their CD and shit. Like they were really, really fucking on another level. And for someone like Drew in our minds to come back, you know, it just kind of like pushed us to be better, write more competitive sounding, more current sounding stuff. And that's kind of where we had this band called Debello Castrum. And Kyle, who was in Fate, wasn't really in that band. It was just me, Eric, Bryce, Devin, and Drew. And that band is really special for like my formative years because of Eric and his dad, our drummer. I was playing guitar in that band. And Eric's dad literally like gave up his master bedroom in his house. He like completely soundproofed it for us to like play in there on like after school. So like for us to be there and work on our playing and stuff, like I kind of have like Ken Miller and Eric Miller to like thank for all that, you know, because like we didn't have a place if they didn't do that. So it was really, you know, those years with, you know, in that bedroom and stuff were really like formative and special, and like kind of like they are the reason why, you know, I still do music today in a roundabout way. But after a while of doing that, I think Eric moved to Chico, and we still like had access to Ken's house. He would still let us come over after school.
That's cool.
And that's when I started playing drums. And for some reason, I just had this innate drumming ability from just, I don't know, some people just have it, some people don't. And I just had it for some reason. So I got pretty good pretty quick. And that's when we met Kyle Fishman, who played in Fate.
I mean, sorry to interrupt
Am I going
you,
too quick? No, please interrupt.
No, but just for context, like picking up the drums for Debello Castrum, like those songs were fast.
I never really played drums in that band, though. All the recordings of those that's Eric.
Sure, but you say, you know, Eric left and you picked up the drums, right? Like, we'll get to the transition, but I mean, it was still like, I guess you were picking up drums in hopes of playing that music, right?
Yes, but I wasn't playing the stuff that he played. Like I never played songs that he played live or on recordings. We like the songs that I played. I think I might have done maybe 6 songs on recordings in that band. Like. And those ended up making it to the Fate record. Right. So like Psychopathic Diary, Call Me the Apocalypse, all that stuff. That was me. But then that ended up being
that shit's
Fate's.
Fast. That's all I want to say with that is that shit's not like beginner drummer kind of stuff.
It's funny
that's the only context I wanted to throw in there. Yeah.
It's funny that you have all those recordings, because I don't even have those, dude. So I need those after we're done here.
I'll shoot you some stuff, yeah.
Like I haven't heard the original recordings.
No, like
I know he's like, I don't know, man. I don't want you to leak them or anything. But that was, like I said, I kind of had some like innate ability, like monkey see, monkey do kind of thing, where I just saw what Eric was doing, and I was like, I can fucking do that. It's like it was a different monster than the guitar completely, and I love doing it. Like instantly, I fucking could not stay off the drums. So
just felt that's when it felt like it was your
yes, way more than guitar ever did. It felt like something I could do like at a really high level.
So you meet Kyle.
So we met Kyle. At this point, we moved. Once I started playing drums, we kind of had to move out of Ken's house, and we moved to this rehearsal spot in like Sacramento City proper. And there's a bunch of bands just in this like lockout. So there's like, a 20 by 20 room and a 20 by 20 room, and you rent the rooms in this 24 hours. And so we would go there and just see a bunch of bands. And Fate was one of the ones that we started seeing just around the studio and playing shows with them. And I think there was some kind of like, they got a deal with Metal Blade, and there was like a few members in their band that they wanted to switch, and we wanted a record deal. So we were pretty much like, okay, well, Drew, sorry. They already have a vocalist that they're not getting rid of. We would love to have you, because obviously Drew is like, I can't believe we talked about that whole Shadow Colossus record without talking about vocals, but we did. But like Drew,
I
we'll get back to
instantly
it.
regretted
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I wanted to go back to it. Yeah.
No, we will. Because like
Okay.
Drew is one of the most amazing vocalists. So we obviously wish we could have taken Drew with us, but Justin was a founding member of Fate. So, and Justin's a great
One of the
vocalist.
only people staying, to be clear, too.
Literally, yeah. There was Kyle and Justin,
Yeah.
and so we joined Fate and kind of like filled out the original record that came out on Metal Blade. So it was like 6 of our songs and 5 of their songs together. So that's kind of like how we met Kyle. And I think we did the EP with Kyle, the one that I sent you.
Yeah.
Which like. That's what I was talking about earlier. The like the crazy how crazy we got with the instrumentation. The song Immortal Bloodbath is like a perfect representation of that. Like 2 minutes to the end is just fucking insane stuff. For 2009, it was very, very technical.
Yeah.
And so I think we went on tour with like Epicurean and stuff. And like, dude, first tour, like 1 weekend, inexperienced guys driving with a trailer packed to the fucking hilt. In February, we like flipped our van in Cheyenne, Washington, and pretty much, or Cheyenne, Wyoming. And pretty much like, dude, it was like snowing outside, fucking blizzard, stuck in a hotel for 5 days. Like our parents had to come pick us up in a box truck. Like, so at that point, we were just like pretty much done with that band. I think Metal Blade dropped us and like wouldn't do any more tour support or anything like that. And that's like no shade to them at all. Like, I probably would have done the same thing in my position if I had 50 other bands that I had to deal with,
That was like right when you guys dropped the album too, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like you guys dropped the album, you go to support it on tour, and then you crash the van right away, and you're like, we can't do more tours. So they're like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do with this?
Exactly. So it was like it was a big like kind of thing for everybody. And so after that, like Devin kind of like went back to school. He went to college, and Kyle moved to LA to live with some family, and he like worked at Big Lots. And I was just like, I'm not ready to be done being in a band. So I joined like as many bands as I could in Sacramento. I did like session drumming for my friend Bobby that I talked about earlier, who's a recording engineer and did all our stuff. So I did as much music as I possibly could until
Zach was telling me earlier that you did a little 2 weeks with these guys.
Yeah, that was their first or second tour. It was us and Impending Doom, and like it was great to Texas and back. So it wasn't a crazy tour, and we did it in like a Suburban, somebody's mom's old 70s Suburban, and like it was crazy. It was like the first time I smoked weed. It was fucking crazy. It was a great time. Great time for a kid to just go on tour with his friends,
Just a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. Aborted just dropped 5 classic albums from their catalog on vinyl. Secure Global Flatline, Termination Redux, and more, along with reimagined merch designs. Quantities are limited and moving fast, so hit indiemerchstore.com to shop now. Catch the band on tour with Cattle Decapitation this fall. Also, Carnifex's new merch line is in stock and shipping right now. If you missed them on their Hell Chose Me headlining run, you can snag designs from the tour, including tees, flags, hoodies, and more. Some designs are limited and will sell out, so secure yours today again at indiemerchstore.com. You can use code BRUTALITY at checkout for 10% off your entire order. Again, that's code BRUTALITY at checkout for 10% off. A big thank you to Indie Merch Store for sponsoring the podcast. Now back to the show.
after everybody came back, I was just joining a bunch of bands, and we had played a couple fests or one-off shows with Molotov Solution, like in some baker, like Jerry's Pizza or something.
Yeah.
And they had just had a bunch of members leave for the first time or the second time maybe. And so I just sent a video in to Robbie of me drumming, and they were like, let's fucking do it. And so I just moved to Vegas, and I literally lived in his closet, his walk-in closet. I had a blow-up bed in Robbie's walk-in closet in his house. And I think I was with them for like 3.5, 4 years. We did the Insurrection and the supporting tours, and then the band kind of called it quits in like 2012.
Just for context, like you were just full in, like I'm drumming. That's my
I just wasn't ready. I really liked touring. When I went on tour with Elysia, it wasn't really with anybody else in Fate or Shadow the Colossus. So like they didn't get that same kind of like taste of shows that I did, and I really just couldn't give that up. I really needed to like keep doing that for some reason. I felt the draw to just keep playing shows and keep writing metal and stuff, and so that's what I just tried to literally join. I tried to join anybody that would be touring or anybody that would help me to get noticed to be in a touring band. Like the amount of like videos I have on my like first MacBook of me just playing drums is of other band songs, trying to like send them stuff or whatever. Like I almost joined that band We Are the End.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Oh,
Like way back in the day, that was like the same time that like 2009-ish, 2008-ish, that I was like, they were really popping off on MySpace and shit. So I think I sent them a video as well. But yeah, I think the writing with Robbie and moving out there and like living with him, that was like, I was instantly all in. And even what's crazy is like my parents didn't say, no, you have to get a job, or no, you need to go back to school like your brother. They just were like, okay, if you need anything, let us know. They like completely supported me. Like back then you could get like a Sidekick phone for like $1 a day, unlimited text and data. So like $30 a month on the phone, and I was good to go. Had some food, had some money for food, and I was happy for like 4 years. I did that.
You did the closet for 4 years.
Well, I mean, we were on tour a lot, so I mean, I lived in the closet. Our manager Jason Majot, who manages like Spirit Box and stuff, like we lived in his garage while we were writing Insurrection on a bed. It was me, Robbie, and Richie all lived in his garage, just like writing every day. So like we slummed it, man. Like I said, it's for the love of the music. We wanted to be in a band. We wanted to be on tour. We wanted to fucking play shows for people. So we didn't really care. I didn't give a fuck that I was living in a closet, bro. I didn't give a fuck I was living in somebody's garage or in the van or whatever. I just wanted to do it. Anything it took, I just wanted to do it, you know?
Might be like a very random question, but I'm just wondering, when you were with Molotov, would you get a lot of people at shows just talking about Shadow to you, like, or
not really? Because like I said, back then we didn't seem like a big deal. You know, we didn't seem. I'm not saying we are a big deal now, but it seemed that a lot more people than I have thought knew about us from the comment section. But like, yeah, I didn't feel like we were kind of big enough to
Have
nobody
people
ever
coming
like
up to you and shit.
nobody really came up to me ever and said, you know, because Molotov Solution's just a big band by itself, and like they didn't advertise like, hey, we have Shadow Colossus's drummer, and we didn't advertise, hey, our drummer is going to Molotov. So there wasn't that real connection, kind of because of Molotov lost so many members right at that moment too. It was kind of like it was just like Molotov Solution. Nobody really thought twice, you know.
Plus, let's be honest, most people don't even know about lineup changes in general.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
A lot of people don't even know that something happened. They're just like, oh, cool, there's this.
They'll know if you don't play the right fucking fill or something on another drummer's track, though, for sure. You know, like I didn't play Corpus Imperium nearly as the same as Jeremy played it. And Jeremy's like a marching drummer, and he's fucking insane in his own right. I couldn't play the way he played because he played, you know, left hand blasting on all his parts, and I was right hand, so I couldn't do the same cymbal punches, and like people would always tell me about that though.
Thinking that you don't know and you need to play, and you're like,
exactly.
I know.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't play it the same way because we just had two completely different styles, you know.
You would have to switch ends and relearn everything just to play those parts. So
yeah.
Do You there's like, I guess, some overlap between Shadow the Colossus and Molotov, I guess, right?
Time wise.
Yeah.
I mean, probably just because Shadow of the Colossus is with like my hometown high school friends, so like that band's even now is not like broken up. You know what I mean? We were
Yeah.
like an internet band. We just made it for fun. I mean, I sent you like 5 demos, so
Hmm.
we still have made music. We still, you know, I mean, everybody but Drew lives in Nashville. Like Bryce, Kyle, and Devin all live here
The
in
whole
Nashville.
lineup? You're talking
Yeah.
like the. Okay, that's.
Did everyone
I
kind of
don't.
move like for the same reasons? Because it is particular too, like from Cali of all places to Nashville, and you're saying you went over there without any of the love for country music.
Yeah,
there's like
so,
a
like,
disconnect there. It feels like.
Yeah, my brother went back to college when I was still on tour, and he tried like culinary, I think was what his original thing was, and
Mm.
he didn't, I mean, he liked it, but then he started writing like guitar songs, I guess like City and Color. He just discovered
Mhm.
City and Color and started like really vibing on the Dallas Green stuff. And so I think that, he had the idea to move here first. So he came here probably a year before I did. And I'm, at the end of Molotov, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to community college in Sacramento with my, living at my parents. And my dad's like, well, your brother's moved to Nashville to go do music. Why don't you just go do that? And I was like, Dad, I don't like that type of music. Like, I'm not into it, at all. And he's like, well, just go and, figure out if you can do something. And when I moved here, I just completely had the attitude of like, I don't like this music. I don't like these people. I just want to fucking record them and, maybe make some money off of that. But I ended up falling in love with like the community of songwriters and the craft of songwriting. And like, yeah, it's a crazy thing. And then after I've been here a year, Kyle moved here for the same reason because he had been living in LA working at like Big Lots, but he was starting to do pop music with some producers down there that were signed to like Dr. Luke, the big songwriter that does like Kesha and stuff. So
Mhm.
he made a trip to Nashville a year after I moved here and then ended up getting the same kind of songwriting deal that Devin and I have. So like we're all three signed writers. And then Bryce was actually in the military during this time. So Bryce gets out of the military and we're like, dude, you got to come to Nashville. It's the best. It's the best city ever. And so he's here now too.
They brought the whole gang.
Yeah, man. I think Drew has like 3 kids though, so can't really
Yeah.
just up and move to Nashville. He's gotta do daddy duty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, dude, if you want to do music and you hate a big city, Nashville's, I mean, the only place. It's
Right.
there's honestly a lot of guys here that are songwriters that come from metal or
That's what I was
hardcore.
gonna ask. That's what I've
There's a
heard.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
And
a
it's
lot
like
of the really great fucking producers ultimately are all fucking metalheads.
Yeah, there's because we all have this like search for tone. We want tone, whether it's guitar tone or drum tones or just good recordings. We have the search for that. And so that, leads into production, which leads into songwriting. But yeah, dude, a lot of I mean, there's even a couple country artists that go pretty far into the rock direction. I mean, like the only drumming I ever did for a country artist when I moved here was for Hardy. Because like
yeah.
he was on that
It's like
level
all
of
about
like,
it. Yeah.
dude, I would play double kick all throughout the set and he would just look back and laugh at me. He never told me to stop. He never told me like, dude, fucking tone it down. He would just literally laugh and just like do whatever you want to do. And so I literally got to play metal drums in a country band and he didn't give a shit. So there's like I couldn't play for anyone else, I don't think, because I'd just be like, what fucking chorus am I in? They're all the same. What am I doing here, But like, yeah, he's one of the ones. I think there's a guy named Austin Snell that does, there's a guy named Brantley Gilbert that does pretty rocky stuff. It's a kind of accepted subgenre of
Yeah.
country is rock country. So that's how a lot of the producers kind of ended up being here. Also, being a metal player producer, like, bro, my mind reads and hears music at like 100 miles an hour and country is 5 miles an hour. So like I can do that shit all day in my sleep,
Like
just
being a runner and then you walk and you're just like,
yeah,
this
it's just like,
should
yeah,
be okay.
exactly. I'm walking through the park pretty much when I'm producing country. And that's not to say that like it's bad music. It's just very simple. But I can make it complex in other ways. I can layer
Right.
it in certain ways. And like
The
I
subtleties
I use my metal skills and my metal ear to make that type of music more interesting to me.
That's what I
And
was gonna
then
ask, is kind of like if there's stuff that kind of translates from the metal world into doing more pop or country music like that.
I would say the thing that drew me into country when I first started listening to it, like recording wise, is like the drum tones, bro. They're usually impeccable. They're usually like borderline metal sometimes. Like the snare tones and the tom tones are so like good and just well captured and like sampled or whatever. They just sound really, really metal sometimes. So I really like honed in on like drum sounds first when I, started getting into country. But I mean, everything, dude. The players, like you think of the best metal player you can think of, and like there exists a counterpart in country music that does
Yeah.
something that fucking you've never seen before, and you're just like, oh my fucking god. Like there's a steel player here named Paul Franklin who's like he comes into the studio in overalls. He looks like a fucking train conductor. He's like 80 years old, and he just plays the most insane, tasty, ethereal steel guitar licks. And I just like when you see somebody, it doesn't matter the genre. When you see somebody with that kind of skill, you just have to like be in awe of them. And that's kind of like where I get with my country appreciation. It's like with the songwriters, with the players, with the artists. It's like they're all really fucking good. So even if I don't like the
Yeah.
genre or like the song, I just still have to appreciate what they're doing. And
Everyone's
over
top of the
time,
game in that
yeah,
room, right?
yeah, and then over time that becomes like my daily life. So I do actually love it, and I do actually like appreciate it. Like a country fan. I'm a country fan. So it definitely like molded me into a different person. But like, dude, when I'm in my car listening to music, it's metal still. It's still
despite Saigon.
yeah, there's a piece of my brain that doesn't get fucking lit up unless it's that. And then it's like, fuck yes.
The image I have is like you're recording the chillest artist, and then you arrive in your car, and it's Despite Icon and Beneath the Massacre playing, and the person is like, "You're the yes, that's me. We're gonna
Yeah, I mean,
record."
sometimes when we do like I call it a first date when I'm riding with somebody for the first time and they're like, "Oh, well, where are you from? What's your story?" kind of thing. I literally will have to play like some metal. I'll be like, "This is what I used to do." And they're like, "Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy." But they usually all like it, It's like it's like an exotic drink or something to them because they don't get it all the time.
Yeah, it's there beyond the music to me, country, because I actually enjoy country. We were talking about that earlier. I've been enjoying it for pretty much a long time. Even what people consider like corny, like super pop American country, even that, like I have no problem with that. See, I just love the vibe of it in general. And I want to ask you because like you're in the scene entirely, but it always felt like everybody's super chill. I'm not saying everybody's perfect, but the vibe seemed to go beyond the music. Would you say it's accurate in terms
Yeah,
of
100%. Especially, dude, I think that Canada has some of the craziest, most fucking great country fans on the planet. Like, literally, the big festival up there is called Boots and Hearts. And every year it is like top tier, one of the best crowds. It's like 60,000 people outdoor festival. It's really like Canadians know how to fucking do country. And other than that, what was the second half of your question?
well, it was more like in terms of like the vibes and general. I was
Oh
watching
yeah, yeah.
interviews and stuff. They seemed chill and just like open minded
Yeah,
and
yeah. There's a lot of, like you were saying earlier, subgenres in country. Like there's a lot of pop leaning country. There's a lot of old school sounding country. I mean, there's still people that only listen to country from the 90s. But then there's like super niche elitist country like Texas, which is called red dirt country. Texas has their own radio charts, man. Like there's people that literally never leave the state of Texas. They just keep touring and releasing songs for Texas radio only. And so like there's people that are like none of that other shit's country, but then there's people that like my girlfriend's mom, it literally loves every country song. It doesn't matter if it's super classical like Chris Stapleton or George Strait or super pop like Thomas Rhett or any one of these new artists that are coming out. And the genre honestly swings like back and forth like between country and pop and rock and like it's funny because like a lot of the like in the 90s you guys remember growing up and like a lot of the radio stations were like alternative rock
Yeah.
stations. There wasn't a lot of like
Until they
country.
weren't.
Maybe there's, yeah, well, they're all country radio stations now.
Yeah.
And so like that's where country kind of didn't really take over those stations. They kind of like absorbed the genres a little bit, you know? So there's a lot of like rock influence and pop influence in country. It still has like a so it's country, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, but it's very accepting, like you were saying. The vibe is very good. They're very open to having new things be started. And like I feel like the reason why country's having like kind of a wave right now is because of that. Like a lot of rappers and pop artists are doing crossovers with country artists. So I feel like because of that vibe and like, hey, we're willing to do some work with you. We'll do a song with you. We'll do an album with you or whatever. Like that vibe that you were talking about is definitely like helped with that. And that's, I mean, I see it too. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's and I think for me, because it's funny, earlier you talked about Sidney Carter, and I feel like for most of us who were like, I don't know, like scene kids or whatever you want to call it on MySpace, we, without really consulting anyone, just all liked it. Sidney Carter and the Dallas Green stuff. And for me, it was my introduction of singer-songwriter. And over the years, I just understood that there's a part of country that it's just a dude with his guitar, and it's sick, and it's awesome, you know? Like the one I've been listening a lot, I think his name is Dylan Gossett, something like that.
Yeah, Dylan
Whatever.
Gossett, yeah.
He's personally one of my favorite. I don't know, what would you call that sort of country? It's just singer-songwriter?
Yeah, there's a couple of subgenres on that side. If I was a radio person, I would call it AAA or Americana.
Okay.
Americana is kind of like that country leaning folk, more folky stuff. Like Zach Bryan, I would call Americana, even though a lot of people like to call him country. He doesn't like to have any genres, which I can see that as a artist. I wouldn't want to be boxed in, you know, like Beyonce did a country album. So it's like country can be whatever people want to say is country. It's really that's the only fucking bar to get in, is like, is the masses saying this is country, then it's country, you know?
Okay.
I put fucking a bunch of trap beats on Morgan Wallen records, but that's country, you know? Because it is. I mean, Morgan's voice, it doesn't matter. He has such a thick accent. Doesn't matter what he sings. It's going to be country, you know?
He talks country, like he speaks country.
Yes.
He breeds country. Okay, big question though. What would you say gets the, like a kind of country that if you say you listen to that, to people in country would be like, oh, okay, come on. Is that what I said? Or like, I really don't mind. I just want to know which one would get
which genre
judged. Yeah, maybe in general.
I would say like 2012, 2015, bro country, like Florida Georgia Line, Cole Swindell, Luke Bryan, those like, just like, I don't want to call them throwaway songs because they're not throwaway songs. Like they've stood the test of time. Like when people listen to 2015, 2010's country, those songs are going to be played. But like some of them are just like you said, they're corny. But like I like it at the same time. Like my favorite records are the FGL records, Florida Georgia Line records from that era. So it's kind of like a guilty pleasure kind of thing. Like I don't hate it, but I love listening to it, but a lot of people kind of poo-poo it, you know, a little bit, because it was just so over the top, like a dude in a leather fucking vest with no shirt on, and he's got aviators, and he's literally dancing on top of an 18-wheeler driving down the highway. Like that's the music video of one of their songs. And it's like, that is a certain guy doing a certain thing that is like, and for some reason, like it worked. Same thing with like Nickelback, dude. Like one of the best songwriters and bands of all time is Nickelback, and they just, you know, they went through a era where it was very cool to hate them, you know, but they're still the fucking goats, dude. Like I fucking love Nickelback.
Wouldn't you say, because it's, by the way, same thing, I like to come back Nickelback, but like, wouldn't you say it's like freeing to don't care about that stuff? Like I remember being young and I never understood, like I would listen to Limp Bizkit, right? And people would make fun of me because now it's cool, but back then it was the lamest thing to say to someone. Yeah. And I remember being young, and it would, not that it would hurt, but I would be like, oh, okay, that sucks. And over time just understood, it doesn't matter who cares about being in the cool group of music? It's like being the cool kid in high school. Outside of that, nobody cares. But
Yeah.
it's weird how people jumped on these. It's not even their opinion. It's just like, oh, people hate Nickelback, so I guess I hate Nickelback, and they don't
Yeah.
even know why. Like it's a strange phenomenon. I don't know.
It's just the crowd
Silver Side Up
mentality.
goes crazy, man. I'll say,
Bro,
it, man.
yes, all of those early records, and I mean the guy that I signed a publishing deal is actually Morgan's producer, is FGL's producer, is Nickelback's producer. So it's
Okay.
like that's like I'm working with one of the guys that like I grew up being like I fucking wish I could work with that guy. So like to have him like co-sign some of the stuff I do is really like special for me personally, like in my journey. But I agree the same way. Like I feel like it's like the guilty pleasure, but I still like I'll go to bat for Nickelback. I'll go to bat for Florida Georgia Line. I love all the stuff, and like it just because I know it's corny doesn't mean I don't like listening to it. Still, I really enjoy stuff, and I feel like it's like you said, you kind of have to just like let go of that stuff, and if you like it, then you like it. There's nothing you can really say to anyone that's like, oh, you like that music. It's like, what kind of insult is that? It really doesn't do anything,
Yeah, because anything you'll do is going to be cringe to someone, right? But
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
always scared, you end up doing nothing. Like, I sometimes laugh with my friends about me. Like, I look at my old content or anything I did, I'm like, cannot believe I did. Like, it's so stupid. And we laugh about it, but I'm okay with it. Who cares? Like, I think it's worse to live in a way that, like, you have to be like accepted and cool to who exactly, and being always scared of it's music. Who cares if you drive in your car and you listen to, I don't know, dude, anything
Taylor
like
Swift,
Britney
bro.
Spears, anything.
Yeah.
Oh, we wouldn't do that though.
Okay, so
I'm kidding.
so wait, Taylor Swift's
to Love
last
Story back then, and
Taylor
shit like
Swift's
that,
last
but-
couple records she did with Jack Antonoff, who's like a really indie style, like Americana style producer. But like the big record that I liked was 1989, and she did that with Max Martin, who's like NSYNC's producer and all these Britney Spears and all these big artists from back in the day. And her new record that's coming out or has came out, I'm not sure, is done with Max again. So I'm honestly looking forward to the new Taylor Swift record.
But-
Same thing with like Ariana Grande's last record was with Max Martin too. And it's
Oh,
like a
you're
10.
touching.
Yeah,
It's like 10 of
and
10.
It's awesome, but so that's and it's probably like this in country too, right? You're talking about all these different influences and stuff, but pop really has a way of like being genreless and from album to album. And I say album to album. Sometimes it's a lot of the times it's even song by song are just completely different. They're just treated as completely independent things, right? Like it doesn't. So it's a bit weirder in the pop world, like to be. I hate everything that this one artist does. It's like, yeah, we'll probably have like 50 different styles of songs that they do, right? There's probably maybe something in there you'd enjoy, and for better or for worse, right? Like Ariana Grande. Speaking of, like, I don't love everything she's done, but a few albums have like the best fucking songs I've ever heard in my life. Doesn't mean I like everything she does, but it's just like you said, like there's different producers on tracks, there's different just vibes that they're going for. We're living in a singles world, so it's all, you look at a Justin Bieber album and it's like so clear that every single song is trying to serve a different niche to like get big in a different scene. And that's just like how the world works now, right?
Yeah. I feel like also that like the inherent terminology of pop means anything that's popular. So like technically at one time classical music was pop music, you know? And
rap was pop for a minute.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly. And I feel like there's
almost.
certain, like you say that it's genreless, but there's always like from being so close to it in the songwriter world, like there's always something that we're chasing. And like before Justin Bieber's Purpose came out with Skrillex doing the fucking production on that.
That's the
like,
album I had in mind when I was talking about every single song is like a different
Before that came out,
personally.
it was really like dance heavy Lady Gaga style pop where it was kind of just like boom, boom, boom the whole time. And then that came out and it completely changed what pop producers and pop writers tried to do for the next 10 years. And then what changed everybody from doing Justin Bieber ripoffs was Post Malone, Beer Bongs and Bentleys. And that's when pop music started using all the trap sounds for the drums and stuff. So like it's a pop girl singing on a track that sounds like a rap track, So like the genre definitely is very like tries to chase whatever's popular. And like, dude, with pop music, it's like the same songs are on the chart for over a year before there's a new artist or a new song. So like, I understand why they do the single thing. Because
Always
it's
need
just,
someone to break the. It's like someone come in with something, and it's now that's the thing. Like we're
yeah, it's like, ooh, this is so hot right now. We have to start doing this, you know? And it's just a little, it's not like something you walk in the room trying to doing. It's kind of like something's just pulling you a little bit, and you
Yeah.
kind of just follow it after a while. It's the same thing with metal stuff, like the breakdown stuff that's happening now with like fuck, I'm gonna fuck this band name up. Starts with a D. God damn, they're so sick. It's not Disfiguring the Goddess. I love Big Chocolate, but it's not that.
Demolisher. No.
And
What
I love
what
Demolisher too.
what kind of
It's like a fucking, like it would be like the Lorna Shore style breakdowns that are super sparse.
Hmm.
God, it's 2 words. I'm gonna look it up right now. Fuck, they just had that Blackout song come out.
Disembodied Tyrant.
Disembodied
Oh.
fucking Tyrant. Yeah. So like that shit is like the new wave of like interesting time signature breakdown. Like I'm going to pause the listener's groove and fuck up their listening experience to excite them. Like that's the new wave of like production metal style.
Yeah,
like,
1,000%. For like deathcore and stuff like that, 1,000%.
A lot of people are trying to just like impress you with their, because that's like, honestly, that is a very good way to be unique. Nobody's gonna be able to copy your slam riff if it's fucking got 5 BPM changes and a bunch of in those pauses and shit, you know, like. So it's a definitely good way to be unique, and like that each part is different, but then it's like that's just the new breakdown. So it's like, does your band have breakdowns or not? Does your band have these slow off time BPM things or not? You know, and that was one of the big things when we were writing the new Molotov stuff was like, how far do we go into like trying to do what people are doing now, and then how far do we try to make it like what we like want to hear, also like be true to our band name, because like our tastes change in the last 10 years before we wrote new stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So like when we were writing that stuff, we kind of just decided to make it more of a organic deathcore album or EP, where it's like there's not a lot of extra production shit going on. There's not a lot of strings. There is some, you know, but it's not like an overarching theme of every single song that there's a big string part or a big production part. It's kind of just fucking angry all the time.
I'd love to kind of dig into that actually, like just I guess getting back into Molotov and like what were those conversations like about, like, because I think even to be fair, I think even Insurrection was already a step in a bit of a different direction for what Molotov Solution had been doing prior to that. I think like 2-3 albums in a row before that were kind of more of a similar vibe, and Insurrection kind of changed that. So like, well, you talk about the like Molotov Solution, like identity and what's to keep or change, and then your guys' music changes have changed over time as well with the 10-year gap. Like, can you speak a little to that?
For the difference on like Harbinger to Insurrection, that was 100%, you know, Richie coming in and adding his guitar prowess, because like Robbie's like a groove master. Robbie fucking writes these riffs that are just have such high replay value, and Richie is just very technically savvy. So like any kind of tapping parts, any kind of like Black Dahlia style Gothenburg parts, were mostly Richie on that record, on Insurrection. And you know, when Robbie, I'm this is just me speaking from a third person view, but like I'm assuming when Robbie saw Richie bringing in that kind of shit, that helped Robbie kind of like step up his game to like match Richie, you know?
Sure.
And I feel like that's what made Insurrection such a great record for me. I feel like there's a lot less things that like I would change, like, because there's always things that you want to change on records that come out. You know, it's kind of like we just stop working on them. We're not ever done, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So there's a lot less things that like I would change on that record than a lot of the records that I've made in my life. And so I think that was a big part because of Richie came in and added his like melodic flavor to it, you know, that like where Molotov was way more groovy and like groove oriented on the Harbinger.
Yeah. And how was it working with Will?
Working with Will is always a treat, man. He's because you stay at his house when you work with him. So like we did that both times. We stayed at the studio the first time, and then we stayed at the house the second time, which is his house is his studio. It's just two different sides.
Mm-hmm.
But working with Will is sweet, man. He's a sweetheart. He knows what the fuck is up. He's always willing to try different ideas. He's really into the weeds on making sure the vocals are done correctly, which is a big thing that I love that he does. He's a guitarist. He also loves really live drum tones, and so I love the fact that like every record that gets made by Will doesn't sound like the same drum samples. Like he fucking goes hard. Him and his assistant Steve are dope dudes, and they work really hard on making every record unique. And that's what I think is really valuable for him is that it's not like a production line. I mean, it is because the guy works so fucking hard. But it's not like a production line as far as the sound.
He's not slapping the preset on every band.
No, I mean he
able
has
to really cater to every band.
He's got a full analog desk that he mixes on. So like when he does mix revisions, he's got to pull up the entire desk and like redo everything. So like it's not for the ease of work that he does all that stuff. It's because it sounds better and because it makes the quality product at the end of it. And like Will has always been like good to us, even in the days like when we were touring with them. Like he's a good dude. He gave us, you know, time that we probably didn't deserve back in the day, you know, when he was first starting out and we were kind of still first starting out. Or I guess on Insurrection, you know, he gave us a month in his studio for like not the price that a month should have cost, you know. And
he was hooking it up.
You know, we'll never forget that. And he's just a fucking awesome dude.
Yeah, yet to hear something bad about, like, honestly, it's just good comments about that person and the experience. And his
don't get me wrong, he can be fucking tough on you too. Like recording this fucking EP for Molotov, this recent one I haven't played drums like that in a long time, and I was legitimately injured afterwards after 2 days of drumming. So he's definitely hard on you, and he, you know, in the process, he knows what it takes to make something great. So he makes sure that he gets that out of you. So it's not, I'm not saying that it's an easy process, but I'm saying that he makes it enjoyable because I know that at the end of it, he's going to get something out of us that we wouldn't have been able to get with anyone else.
And that's kind of the goal, right? Isn't it? Like if you go to see someone, like someone who pushes you, like I almost see it. I don't know why I keep making like fitness references. I'm not someone who's that much into that, but like if you have a coach, it's because they're going to push you. Like if you're just comfortable, then you're going to stay at the same level. So I feel like in music, some people are able to push themselves quite a lot, but I feel like there's only so much. There's kind of a limit to where you're going to push yourself, as opposed to like a good producer who's going to, you know, push you to the absolute limit that even you're like, I don't think I can do this, and they're like, yes you can.
Yeah I mean that's a huge job of a producer. Doesn't matter what genre you're in, is that you have to, you know, you have to kind of carry the artist through it and make sure that, you know, they're not gonna, we weren't, you know, having A+ days every day. Like we had to work for stuff and work for takes and work for parts, especially Nick. You know, Nick, I think that EP is one of Nick's best vocal performances.
He sounds insane. He leveled the fuck up on that,
bro. Like it's, I think out of everyone in the band, and it could have something to do with, you know, the vocal production techniques, but I honestly think that out of everyone in the band, like he had the most growth. And it literally, after not screaming for 10 years like that, like for him to come in and fucking do that is just like, it blew my fucking mind. The first vocal he did, I was just like, holy fucking shit,
like he
dude.
Never stopped, basically.
I mean, it's like he had been going the whole time. Yeah, like he'd literally just been getting better and better. And, you know, I don't know if it's because he put on fucking 50 pounds of muscle because he's been working out or what, but I mean, dude, it literally like he was the one that I think leveled up the most on his performance on that record.
What about you though? Like, were you playing drums for, you know, since moving to Nashville, or like what was
no?
that
So
like?
I moved to Nashville, and I have my drum set still, but I mean it stayed in storage. And then 4 years into me not playing, I started playing for Hardy. And then 3 years after I started playing for Hardy, I like hurt my shoulder, so I had to take a break, and then it ended up not healing. So I had to like quit playing for Hardy, and for the last 5 years, my drums have been in storage. Like I don't play at all. I haven't played at all. And so like when I went to go do that record, it was
That's
like
where
the
you
most.
injured.
Yeah, bro, like my whole forearms were swollen up to where I couldn't grip the sticks after like the second day. Just because he was like, you have to hit hard, you have to make sure that you're doing all this stuff. And like it's almost like if you've ever been rock climbing, like, dude, there's a point at which you just can't grip your hand
Yeah.
anymore. And because your forearm's so full of blood, and like, yeah, it was, I honestly like couldn't have done one more take. I was at my limit with 5 songs of that. Like and those are like, as far as Molotov is concerned, those aren't even crazy songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as like drumming is concerned, I had to kind of like find a balance between what was physically possible for me to play and what should have been on the record, you know? So it's definitely a little bit less than probably what what could have been on that record, but it's a little bit more than I was able to play.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy though. Did you not have much practice then, you know, like leading up to doing the album and stuff? Was kind of just writing in the studio type thing?
Well, it was writing in the studio, but like I said, also I had just come off an injury, so I hadn't been playing for 2 months at all. And then we were going to go into the studio, so it was, yeah, it was definitely a
and not the same kind of stamina or like kind
no,
of
the
drumming
stamina
from Hardy to Molotov either, right?
Yeah, well, in Hardy too, because it's so slow, I literally used the marching sticks. I used the biggest sticks I possibly could, so I didn't have to hit hard. I didn't have to hold on to them hard. They just kind of were like just massive bouncing fucking sticks. So I really like I went through a set of heads every show because those sticks were so like, I was just beating the shit out of the drum set. I had one cymbal, a ride, and a hi-hat, and 2 toms. That's what I played with for Hardy. So like I was just fucking beating the shit out of those drums. So I was like practice, but it was just the speed is a different thing than just playing hard, you know?
Endurance, you know, for especially like stuff that's that fast, high BPM and stuff is just, you know, that stuff that takes time too, right? Even if you had wanted to get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, Will had a drum set, like a electric drum set in his garage that I practiced on for like maybe a week before we played, but there's nothing that prepares you for having to do 5 takes of the same song all back to back, literally hitting as hard as you possibly can, like harder than you would ever hit in a live show, you know? Like your thumb's bruised and you still have to keep playing. And like, yeah, it's recording is a whole different beast. And you don't really like, until you have done your first album or an album, like you don't really know. Like doing a single song is not the same as like doing a fucking full. Even an EP is hard.
Yeah, but you said it. I mean, we were talking about drums, and it's just like it's still something I'm never gonna understand how people can do. I mean, I program and I write the drums, quote unquote, but to play that, like we were talking about the Spice Icon earlier. I don't know how that is humanly possible. Like,
yeah, and Alex plays with marching sticks turned around backwards, so they're even heavier than a regular marching stick.
And,
like he's special,
like full arms. Like he's not doing any economy.
He's breaking it.
He's just
and
like,
his axis pedals are like 4 inches off the ground, and he's got a fucking bike seat attached to a drum throne. Like the guy is a fucking freak. The guy's a freak. But I mean, same thing with like someone like Bryce Butler. Literally
smiling the whole time.
One of the cleanest drummers, and like he's playing some crazy shit, but it's not like Alex level, but like, dude, it's so clean and groovy. Like, and obviously the guy's having a fucking blast every time he plays. So it's just like, I just enjoy watching shit like that.
Yeah. No, it's another beast, you know, not to give like, of course, all the instruments and stuff like that, but drums specifically in metal. Like, it's one thing to play drums. I'm not saying it's easy in other styles, but like, if there's like something that impresses me in life, it's that capacity of just playing inhuman. You know, those. By the way, like I'm sure you guys remember back then, you could only do that when it was like programmed online, and people would laugh, saying like, "Oh, it's impossible." Now people are doing it. Like it's doable.
Yeah, I think that's crazy that like sometimes the like fake stuff pushes the real drummers
Yeah.
or the real guitarists to be like, I mean, I know there's a couple kids who think Rings of Saturn is real, you know, and they're like trying to play that guitar, and then there's going to be somebody who fucking finally plays it one day that's not Lucas Mann, you know?
Yeah.
And then we're going to be like, how the fuck did you do that? Because that was fucking Guitar Pro, dude.
And that is what pushes, you know, afterwards it becomes like not a standard, but afterwards it's almost after a while it becomes
1000%.
almost normal, and then that's what people do, and it evolves, you know. That's pretty crazy. No one would have believed it back then.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's one of the things that like recently has been kind of touched with people is like that Josh Travis sound where you're using a pitch shifter to go half up and half down at the same time. Like back in the day when he was doing that in like Danza and even like Glass Cloud and stuff, like nobody could touch that shit. Nobody could be like, what the fuck is he doing? How is he making stuff that sounds like that, you know? And now there's a couple bands that are like getting close to like, okay, this sounds like fucking the same shit Josh Travis was doing like 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah, well now you can buy the Alpha Wolf pedal, you know, guitar pedal, and you've got the sound, right? Like it's all these things and technology now that make some of this stuff so much more accessible too, right? And it's weird, like that specific thing you're talking about too, there's like a whole subsection of metalcore that's all they do now too. Like that's like the thing, right? Which to me kind of defeats the purpose, right? Like Danza was cool because he was the only one doing it, right? It was a one of a kind thing. And they've never been touched, to be fair, either. Like people have tried, but no one's really done Danza like Danza. But
yeah, I think that was the best tour that I did with Molotov was us, Danza, My Children, My Bride, and Suicide Silence.
Yeah, okay, that's crazy.
That was the No Time to Bleed tour.
God.
Yeah, it was big white flyer, right? Am I crazy?
It was like a tile with blood on it.
Mitch was on fire.
Mitch, dude, that record was pretty fucking crazy. Like back in the day, because I love The Cleansing so much, I really wasn't into that record. But like after we did that tour and I got to see it live, I was like, holy fuck, that record is so immaculate. And the same thing with like, we did a tour with Unearth and Chimaira, and I think that like I'd listened to like some of Chimaira's big songs, but like seeing them live, dude, is like another thing. Like that is definitely a band that like you have to see live to really appreciate. Same thing with like Gojira. Like when I listened to when I watched the Poland Rock from 2019, that live recording sounds better than any Gojira record I've ever heard. And so like when I go and listen to a Gojira record, it never gives me that same energy as that live recording gets. So like there's just some bands that are just like immaculate live. They take it to a whole nother level. There's some other kind of magic that isn't captured on the recording that's just like, holy fuck, that's an experience, you know?
Need to find the right producer. No, I'm kidding. No, but for real, sometimes that's the, you know, capturing it's such like it's not concrete. It's not something you can. It's kind of an energy thing. Must be.
And that's why
difficult.
I think that No Time to Bleed record was so special, is because they did that with Machine, who actually was like Will Putney was his assistant originally, you know. So like I think that record is like not done by a quote unquote deathcore producer, you know. So he had other ideas. He had Mitch in the weird fucking position to do vocals. I'm sure we've seen all the videos, and I'm sure there was tons of other special weird shit that they did that, you know, normal like Joey Sturgis or whoever wouldn't think to do back then, you know.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the thing about having like a good producer, because at first it's new and everybody's super impressed, but then it becomes the sounds. So then going to that producer, unfortunately, you're probably gonna sound he's gonna have his signature or
which is why I'm like super worried that Buster is like putting out drum plugins and guitar plugins, because like his sound was so special. And
it was
like,
only a matter of time though.
I mean I respect it. The guy's got to cash in. He's got to cash in. I get it. Like he'll sell 100,000 plugins at $30. He'll be fucking rich. But like
he'll
everybody's gonna have
doing the thing. But
yeah, everybody's gonna have Buster sounds now. I'm sure he's moved on to something else, but still, like, to make your own guitar plugin, that probably took him a fucking long ass time, dude. Because there's so much routing that's going on in there. But I'm excited to see what he does next, to be honest, because he's like at the forefront of like cool songwriting, but also fucking amazing recordings.
But I think all these kind of producers, like Putney's got his whole suite, and it's technically like in it got like, you know, rips of fucking 20 plus albums that he's done in terms of guitar tones and stuff like that. And sure, but like I'm not making that sound like Will Putney ultimately.
Yeah, there's
right?
there's 100
So-
ways to fuck it up before it comes out of the speakers. So yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think for some of these people, it's kind of like, you know, they're confident enough to be like, yo, here's the thing, but I know you guys will still never touch me. And I mean, look, if it does, if some people do shine with it, cool, you know. But yeah, I get the broader picture though of like everything starting to sound the same too, because it's the hot thing, and like you said, everyone's gonna buy the Buster plugins and everyone's gonna sound that like that for a minute, and stuff becomes stale, you know. But yeah, it's a weird thing.
I think the same applies for producers as musicians, right? There's always people who are going to be steps ahead. There's people who knows that it's going to be the sound. They're like, okay, we're moving next to that thing. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of producers. We keep using the example of like someone, a band like Bring Me the Horizon, and you know, always years before everybody else in terms of what's coming next and whatnot. And I can only imagine in the producer world that it's also a thing. I'm sure there's a lot of people who sees, okay, that's going to be the next thing. Easier said than done,
I would
sure. But
I'd say the thing right now that I'm seeing and using is AI. And I know a lot of people aren't gonna like that I'm saying that, but if you put a half-cooked fucking riff into something like Suno and you give it some prompts about what you want to hear, I mean, the stuff that it comes out with is not bad. It's definitely inspiring. I'm not gonna, you know, use a Suno track and put that out, but it definitely
Someone
helps.
else will.
It's well, yes, but I was
Yes.
saying it definitely helps steer the inspiration ship, because metal is such a special thing to write. It's not like these are the chords I'm going to play, and so now all I have to worry about is the lyrics. It's like every piece of the song has to be crafted individually and note for note to kind of make the whole. Every riff you write is almost just as complex and important to the song as every guitar or every lyric you write in pop music. So it's a lot different, I feel like, for metal than it is for other genres in that aspect, you know, whereas like you have a lot more things to worry about when you're writing metal than you do when you're writing pop music or country music.
Yeah, and the guess I have also is AI is used way more than what people think. They just don't know it. You know what I mean? Like that's
I
my
mean,
theory.
I can hear it right now because I use it so much on a daily basis. And like I said, I'm not using it like some people will prompt a song from nothing. I like to put like something that's half cooked
They're
into
inputting.
it.
Yeah.
And so it takes my thing, which I've already created, and kind of just expounds on it. Like I could make 6 different versions of something in 5 minutes, or I could take, you know, a week making a different version every single day. You know what I mean? It helps with like the writer's block. Yeah, the
Using it
writer's
as a tool, basically.
yeah,
more
I mean,
than-
like writer's block in pop music is kind of non-existent because there's always something to write about, and there's always another chord, and there's always this. But like in metal, it's very easy to get writer's block because like you get hung up on what's before, what's coming after, and if you're just like writing stuff yourself, like on a computer, like what most people do nowadays, like not like doing a band setting, it's you can get fucking stuck in something very easily. You know, the quickness in which you can flow something out is a lot harder when
breakdown.
you have to, when you have to fucking, okay, I'm going to have a kick here and a kick here, and then my snare, and then this is the pattern of my fucking hi-hat. And then it's like, dude, I could have done three tries of this with a real drummer in 10 minutes, and I would have known which one to do.
That's true.
So, you know,
you can feel it too. You can feel it.
Yes.
Okay, no, that's not. But on a computer, it's like you have to try it. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna put just to realize, nah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like,
So I'm not saying that any AI was used to write the Molotov stuff, because this is just like a recent development in the last like 6 months. You know that
we're gonna clip it that way though.
Yeah, okay. But like these things have been getting so good that it's like, it's kind of like the difference in the future of production, songwriting, and that stuff, whether it doesn't really matter what genre it is, the difference is going to be the people that use it are going to be able to have more things come out, you know. And I'm not saying it's good or bad one way or the other. It's kind of just like, do you like bread from the store, or do you like to go to a bakery and get a fucking expensive loaf of bread that somebody made by hand? You know, it's kind of like, you know,
this kind of goes back to the same thing for me though, as like a good producer not being scared, like in the sense of like putting out like his own shit. Like to me, it's a similar thing where like we're still gonna have, like, I think a lot of producing in general is taste ultimately. Same with songwriting, same thing. Like it's kind of like, so even if something is writing stuff for you, like I think people that are bad songwriters inherently are still going to put out dog shit songs. Like I think that doesn't change that, because they just don't know. They just don't have the taste. They don't know how to recognize the thing that's going to resonate with people. I don't know. Obviously it like bridges a gap, but I feel like there's still, I don't know, there's always going to be standouts, right? Like, and then ultimately, like, yeah, maybe, you know, people that are really good songwriters will be able to use these as tools, but
that's pretty much what it is. It's like, do you use autotune to pitch correct somebody singing? I'm using this to just pitch correct my idea real quick, just to see what the options are, and then I can go from there. You know, I'm never using it as like a replacement for myself. I'm using it as a tool, like you were saying, to like help me move faster and, you know, not get stuck in some cycle of writing, you know. And it's not the right thing to do for everybody, you know, but it's not the wrong thing to do just because it's the hot topic to hate right now either. You know, like people are worried about water and power consumption, but at the end of the day, you know, like the fucking water and power consumption that you use from being on Instagram 12 hours a day is, you know, I don't know if it's worse or better, but it is something. So it's not like anyone's innocent who says that, you know, there's lots of reasons to use and not use AI. And I think it's just like you said, it's like a tool. It's not really it's just like any other tool that I have in my box, you know?
Yeah, and
our bullshit radar is getting better and better too. Like, you know, sorry to cut you off.
100%. No, 100%. And
fine.
that was something that I said earlier too, is like, people are going to know if it's bullshit, you know? And if they don't, then they'll be fucking none the wiser, and nobody's hurt anyways, you know?
Yeah, what scares me sometimes is I see full-on fake profiles and people are talking to them like it's someone. Like it's completely fake. It's really easy to tell, and people are just like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh no, that's
the point is that the point isn't that nobody's gonna get hoodwinked. The point is that in a broader scale, like what's gonna become popular will not be the thing you're talking about, Yan, right? Like that's still
right. No, for sure.
Like the obvious will still be obvious to most people, and it won't, like, it's not like it's gonna chart. It's not like it's gonna, you know.
I think it's gonna be special where we're heading though, because we're still in an era that we know when it's AI, but best believe that someday we won't. Yeah. That's the part that I'm curious about.
Coming from an audio perspective, the reason why most of the AI generation of music and stuff is low quality is because of the actual bandwidth. Like, if you're a dude who just gets off work at the work factory, and you're coming home to your son and you're using AI to make a song about why my son Jonathan needs to take a bath, like, the AI will make that, and it will help me make a song that will be heard on the radio. Like, it will do both things. So it's like, it really does whatever you do to it. It does whatever you ask it. It's just a fucking faceless, thoughtless thing, you know?
Gonna make you sing Nirvana with SpongeBob vocals.
Yeah. You can do pretty much anything you want on it, you know? And it's at the end of the day, it's not good enough to be out in the recording world. But like you said, like, dude, a year ago, if you showed me the stuff that was coming out now, I'd be like, no fucking way. And, you know, a year from now, it's probably going to be crazier than it is now. So there's nothing people can really do about it. Like, when people get up in arms about like the AI art on stuff, I'm just like, you know, that band just saved $3,000, right?
But it's just gonna happen.
Like, do you care about that? Do you care about your favorite band not fucking spending a boatload of money on licensing or artwork from a fine artist? And I'm not saying, like, you know, fuck these fine artists. I'm just saying, like, there's two sides to it. You know, it's not just artists. I mean, because, like, on some level, like, all the metal artists are getting stolen from our songs to train these AIs. So it's like, Everybody's getting stolen from, man. All your tweets are getting read. You're getting stolen from. So
Yeah. Same goes
kinda
for, by
like-
the way, for gaming. Same thing, by the way.
yeah, like
AI,
assets.
it's huge. And can you imagine the difference for, and I'm not saying it's better, by the way. Like I love voice acting in video game. I think there's a huge value. But imagine a studio, right? It's already super expensive, and you tell them that they're gonna save tremendous amount of money by just it's going to be done by AI, like a game like GTA or whatever. It's just all the voice. It's all going to be random legion. It's going to be good. Or it takes 5 more years and you hire actors and you hire like a team of 100 people and you do all of that. So of course I get why it's happening. It's just more efficient.
It comes and it always it's gonna be, the AI is gonna be like one of those conversations that never gets solved, like guns or abortion or something like that. It's gonna be the same thing. Whereas like there's so many upsides that there's also so many downsides, and like no matter what side of the argument you're on, you have a point. Like there's everybody's kind of right and wrong at the same time. And you know, so I try not to judge, you know, bands or artists or whatever. I know that every time a band uses a fucking AI generated artwork, I know that an artist is not getting a commission or something, but
that's the part I'm still.
Yeah, it's like there's a right, it's correct. Both are correct. And you know, I think it's kind of a weird progressive thing to be, or it's weird that it's a weird progressive thing to be able to be on both sides. Like I can say both things, and I'm not like taking a stance against either one. You know, I recognize all aspects, and I still like, I realize that I'm getting stolen from, and I'm just gonna fucking just keep using it, because like kind of at the end of the day, the cat's out of the bag. There's nothing any of us can do to like put it back in. You know?
Oh no, they were gone. No.
You know,
whether we like it or not, you know, I've been tripping on the like all the fucking random AI music that's been taking up Spotify and shit.
Dude,
well, that's
working.
That could be a couple different things, right? Because like when you have a company that makes billions of dollars like that, and same thing with like the record labels, I think make something like $25 million to $100 million a day in streaming revenue. So when you get to that kind of revenue, you kind of try to do some funky business stuff. So what I'm assuming is that Spotify is either paying people work for hire, which means you make this AI song or album for us and we'll pay you and then we own it. And then they're putting those songs on the playlists. And so every time a song that they own gets on a playlist and gets 25 million streams, that's 25 million streams they don't have to pay to a record label. They don't have to pay to songwriters. So like, again, this is like another bad aspect of it, but it's just a real thing. So it's like, you know, the use of AI is not the evil in that. In that scenario, you know what I'm saying?
1,000%. It's a facilitator. It's a tool that's being used, but it's not like AI's fault. It's just crazy to see. It's just it is in a world where it is so fucking polarizing, to just kind of have that be like the explanation you're giving. Like that's for sure what it is. Like for everybody knows it, right? But again, like you said, there's like nothing you can do about it, and Spotify's gonna do what they're gonna do. Like I don't know, man. It's just so fucking weird, man. It feels so dystopian, and we're
and that's great to me that there are things like Bandcamp that come out where it's like you can directly kind of connect an artist with their fan base, and if they want to do that and support the artist that way, or you know, there's many different avenues for people who care enough. So like if my big thing is like, if you care enough to feel this way, then you'll care enough to act in a certain way to get around whatever constraint or whatever qualm you have with the situation. You know, so it's like productive to have those conversations. I'm not telling people to shut the fuck up about AI, you know, like it's productive to have those conversations. And I hope that in the future, you know, creators and artists can get compensated fairly for their works. But, you know, realistically right now it's the wild, wild west. So you can't really, you know, it's like all these people who probably get up in arms about the AI stuff were also probably people who were torrenting music on Pirate Bay, which is me. I was torrenting music, you know, and like, that hurts artists and labels and people just as much, if not more, than AI, because you're actually stealing something that they already created. You know? Yeah. I don't know. It's some kind of equivalent for me.
As much, you know, streamers to me are just a legal way of doing the exact same thing you just described too, right? Like if we're being real, right? Like the amount of money you make from a fucking stream, you know, versus torrenting the album back in the day is pretty fucking similar ultimately, right? Like, so we just kind of legalized like the convenience of not paying artists.
Exactly. And I think what happened there was that the cat was out of the bag. Peer file sharing and people having access to all the music they wanted. That was like people, investors understood that was something people wanted. So they made it happen legally. You know, like I still think, you know, 0.00012 cents per stream is fucking robbery, but you know, it is what it is. And, you know, we got people in Congress and lobbying and going there to try and help all songwriters, not just, you know, pop songwriters, but metal songwriters, like everybody make more money.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about access and technology in general. As things are evolving, there's always like a plus side, a downside, and more often with everything, you know, look at the streaming platforms, right? It's great. Now you can go on Netflix, you have everything. Don't you think it hurts also studios and movies and stuff like that? They're not making half the money they used to make in general because of like, look at the theaters and stuff like that. Of course, it's hurting in some ways, and because I was for a long time wondering why we wouldn't get, you know, we grew up with sick movies, right? Lord of the Ring, all these huge productions like Harry Potter, although and I'm looking at now and I'm like, there's nothing exciting coming out like ever. It's just remakes after remakes of like existing stuff. And I've watched like interviews and stuff, and then I understood it's because now it's almost never worth it to do like a new thing that you don't know, with a big production and stuff like that. They're barely even if they do that with all the streaming and stuff like that. That's just one example, by the way. It's super random.
No. There's parallels for music too. You know, I would say that going back to the AI thing, I would say that like the same thing is happening for music right now that happened when you could get recording software on laptops. Like it moved it from, oh, I have to have thousands of dollars to go into a big studio with a big ass desk and have an engineer run the studio and have players and spend all this money for studio time. And it moved that to somebody's bedroom. And you still had to like be technically savvy to like create music and like make it sound good and whatever. And like there's been even with just the laptop, there's been an explosion of music, you know, like I think something like 60% of Spotify songs like didn't get more than 20 plays last year. Just because the amount of songs on Spotify from independent artists is just absolutely exploded. Everybody and their brother is trying to be a music artist. So I think that AI is going to even further put music into people's hands who aren't even musicians. That's kind of what's happening. So instead of just every musician now has a way to record their music, it's every person has a way to make personalized music. So I feel like there's going to be like Dom was saying, there's going to be like still people that like make music very well, or, better than other people, and there still will have to be producers and writers and stuff. It's just going to be like, if I need like I said earlier, if I need a song for my kid to stop whining and take a bath, it's going to take me 2 seconds to make
that. Okay, so we're running low on time. I've two things I want to tap into real quick before letting you get on with your day. From a producer standpoint, I'd love to get your take on what made Myspace deathcore from a production standpoint kind of special, like the kind of the raw side of it. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
So we're talking like musically.
Yeah,
musically, I think Myspace deathcore was just very shitty. It was as raw as like the guitar was distorted. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just all those like EPs and recordings that we would do with our buddies. Like that was when, you know, you still had to have a computer and stuff to at least to record. And I don't know, it was really raw and bad, but it was good bad. It was real. It was like, it felt human. There were some bands that were quantizing stuff, and like even like the EP that the Faceless put out before their first record, like was all quantized and stuff. But I still love that stuff, and I don't know, that era just had some kind of like realness where it wasn't like, I mean, yeah, we all wanted to be big bands and stuff, but it wasn't like the goal. We were just making shit because we heard some other shit and we were like, oh fuck, I want to make some shit like that. And then we just made more stuff, you know, like that's a total caveman answer, but it feels like it was closer to like the fans, closer to humans, closer to people than it is now. It's a little like, it's a little far away to touch, if that makes sense.
We keep referring to it as like experimental.
Mm-hmm.
People were experimenting a lot, weird parts or whatever. No one was afraid of if it's weird or not.
Dude, We Butter the Bread with Butter is not fucking coming out nowadays. There's no goofy bands that just want to fucking, or like the Irish Front.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody's doing boom clap snap shit just to be funny and have a good
wish, but yeah.
All those, like when those bands play, all those things go so hard at shows and stuff, you know, like that was what people waited to hear for. So I feel like you're definitely like right when we're missing some of that freeness that you were talking about. Like, I don't care what people think. I just want to make shit that I like or that's fun or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just people like, oh, what if we do that? It would be funny. Okay, we're doing it type thing.
Yeah, we don't got no peanut butter jelly time deathcore
I mean, the
version in
Suicide
2025.
Silence. yeah, the Suicide Silence with the Family Guy bits, you know, in between.
And I think it was also, and I know it's just because like it changed over time, the way we release, but nowadays, even the smallest, with all due respect, even the smallest projects or band, they're doing a release like if it was like the new Lord of the Ring or something. Like, no, but I'm not trying, I know it's mean, but I'm just saying, like,
it's not mean, it's definitely,
we used to drop songs. It was just like
the shitty
let's drop
fucking pre-production demo on MySpace with shitty paint graphics.
Yeah, we would put out demos before. We would have to put parentheses demo.
Yes,
you know.
Yes, it was just like, do you guys fuck with it? And nowadays it's like, be prepared, 2028, and it's like it's in 4 years with like a movie trailer, and it's like we're releasing a new deathcore song.
Like, that's what I'm saying when I say it's like it's not as close. You can't like you can't reach out and touch it. It doesn't feel like. It feels like too serious sometimes.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Back in the days, it felt like, and I think that's what it was. You just described it with Shadow, but like, it was just friends releasing music together. Do you fuck with it? Cool. If you don't, we kind of don't care.
Like I said, we all wanted to be big bands at the end of the day. Like, that was our dreams, but we didn't let that get in the way of what we wanted to write, if that makes sense. We didn't let that dictate the kind of decisions we made musically. And I'm not saying that everybody does that nowadays. There's definitely bands that are taking risks and doing weird shit, you know, but at the same time,
that was the entire scene, right? So now it's few and far between, but that used to just be everyone. So that's kind of where the disconnect is for me.
Like,
at least.
I think a great example of something like that would be a band like Car Bomb.
Sure.
Car Bomb is fucking crazy, and they don't sound like anybody. They don't fucking, I don't know. It's just, that's the first band that I've listened to in a while that I'm like, this is just so unique, and like I can't put my finger on why I like it, because I haven't ever heard anything like it, but I enjoy that band a lot.
I'm gonna sound like I'm a million years old, but you know, the saying like, let the music speak for itself, I really believe in that in general. That's why we love Psycho Frame so much. Not to say their marketing is amazing, but I'm just saying, when they drop their music, they just released their music and it was insane, and people were just talking about it because it's insane, not because like there was like
a cool marketing beat behind it. And
I mean,
like
that's
6 months leading to it with like little parts and a puzzle, and like it's just,
that's the same thing that like why Waking the Cadaver was big in like 2005. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were like, what the fuck is this, dude? This guy sounds like a frog or whatever. Like, and the snare was fucking cranked so tight. Like, everything about that shouldn't have worked, but was because it was so fucking weird and different, and fucking everybody was just like, what the fuck is he saying? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. It's just,
like, I remember listening to that in my friend's car with like two fucking like Kenwood 12s, and just like being like, what the fuck is this band? But it was so sick, dude. I didn't even care. It was just, it sounded like nothing else.
And also, I think it was I'm speaking for myself, but the idea that I could come across a page that it's just random people who drop music. Maybe it's terrible. Maybe it's not even tight. Maybe it's not even properly recorded. You know what I mean? Not that people should record garbage. I'm just saying it was cool. You never knew what you would come across. Could be just like a demo, 5 people. The excitement of discovering stuff like that. And then you see We Are the End and you're like, oh my God. And it's like, so I think that part is kind of, you know, everything is very polished and well made, and
yeah, people have to try to make raw or bad recordings nowadays.
When I was like on the Myspace vibe though, like I would just go to my favorite bands and then check their top 8, and then go to their page and check their top 8, and I would just spend hours and hours listening to other like bands, because you put bands that you were friends with up there, or you put bands that you wanted to tour with or play with, or that you liked on your band's top 8. Like that's how it was. So like that was like the Spotify discovery of that day. It was just like, who do they fuck with? I'm gonna go check them out. Who do they fuck with? I'm gonna go check them out. And it just was like an endless little rabbit hole down of like new bands that you never have heard of.
Exactly what that was. So there was, as you said, I think you said it right. There was a realness to it that's missing now. I think it really sums it up.
I think that's there's a lot of that in every genre too, though. Like everything is very business oriented, and like it's serious. It's so serious.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, it's not that deep. Just want to fucking bang my head, you know?
Yeah. It's, well, I mean, look, this could be a whole other conversation. I'll just kind of end it with like, you know, I think it's the platforms now, right? Like you can't really put like a shitty demo on Spotify. It's not really a thing. There is no real place. Like on MySpace, there was a music player right there. So it was there's like no social aspect to releasing music anymore. Like the way you're promoting music now is on fucking Instagram, which has no music player, right? There's just like a weird disconnect with like,
well, it's just like the artist lip syncing their song, or like a band saying pre-save. It's like you're asking way more than you used to ask of the listener. You're asking them to leave that app, go to another app, click like 4 buttons to pre-save, and then confirm, and then reconfirm, and then sign in, and then do all this shit, when it's like before it was like I go to the page and the shit plays.
And sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. No, that was it.
Okay, sorry. It's just because you just reminded me of that. And we're going to end with that because I know there's another thing we want to say real quick, but on freaking social media, the worst thing to me is the complete fake setup of just like someone filming, and it's going to be a small sentence like, dude just is going through a breakup, and like he's filming, but like it's his account and he's like producing, and it's like to promote a song, but it's like made in a way like if it was somebody just coming across it. I don't know why it makes, I understand why they're doing it, but like I would prefer just straight up cringe garbage. Cringe
is the word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's I would prefer. It's the pseudo like, oh, this just is happening, you know? Oh, this is an organic moment. It's like,
look at this band I just found out about. Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's also like the setup that never happened. Like they're gonna put in quote, like somebody commented that it's gonna be like, no one cares about your garbage, and then they're gonna put, I'm like, no one commented. Like you made that up to make your video, and we know that. Like it's just
and I don't know if that's a symptom of the band culture, or if it's a symptom of the delivery of music, like Dom was saying. It might just be the fact that streaming services are separate from the social media apps, where it used to be the same thing. So I think that's a great point that I never really focused in on.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the last question?
So, well, I mean, before you go and you make this as short or as long, I just wanted to touch on Drew. 2 seconds. We have to show some love to boy Drew, because goddamn,
Drew's my boy.
This guy's vocal patterns, the shriek vocals, the just everything about him.
First thing I told him, I think 30 seconds in, first song towards the end, first thing I tell them by listening, he just sent the link and I'm like, what the fuck with the vocal patterns? It's so sick. I think that's like the first thing I said.
Yeah, Drew's really fucking special, man. And like our writing process is different for pretty much every song, but like the way we do the vocal patterns is like Drew will go in and he'll sing a pass of 1 line, and you know, me and my brother will pretty much either say like, fuck, that's fucking sick, you nailed it, or we'll like add one little thing. But like we all grew up kind of listening to rap too, so it's a little bit rappy. There's not a lot of like stuff that repeats the same thing as the guitars and stuff and the music, but like Drew's range is unbelievable, man. Drew's dedication to the bit, like if he's doing a screech vocal or like a fucking anguish sounding hardcore style mid vocal, like he puts his fucking back into it. He puts every kind of emotion on every style of vocal that he does. Like it's like 100%. There's no like he's not trying to save his vocal for the next take, bro. Like he's fucking going as hard as possible for every take.
He doesn't need Putney to tell him to go harder.
He's not trying to like save anything, and like the production honestly that like Bobby does too on vocals is really good. Bobby's really savvy with that, and that was a big help to the sound of Drew with like the layers and stuff, because I think we were doing a lot more layers than most people too.
Sure.
The vocals kind of were the same thing as like, oh, we need 3 guitars going at all time. It's like, okay, we need fucking vocal layers on every single part, whether it's the same vocal or it's a different vocal. But
do you have a lot of like a couple of like I love that stuff. I love
mainly we have like the main vocal going, so it's only one layer, but like on a lot of words, if there's vocals, there's going to be vocals in the sides, so it'll be either the same high or a different one, just to create like a different,
it's more width, more
sound to it. Like, because like it's all math at the end of the day. So like 3 highs sounds different than a high and a low in the center, and 2 highs on the side sounds different than a high with 2 lows and a high in the middle. Like it all sounds different. So it's like we used kind of all those combinations to kind of like just make stuff way more interesting than just one vocal the whole time.
Makes sense.
But I mean, it helps when you have somebody like Drew. Like Drew's absolutely incredible. And the same thing live, dude. Like Drew gives 100,000%. I mean, just like his energy, man. He's like one of the best live vocalists as far as like standing on fucking rafters, like grabbing people in the front row, fucking punching the monitors till they break. Like anything you can think of, he's on top of it. He makes sure that the crowd is going to feel our energy, and like he makes sure that they like take it up a notch and give it back to us. Like I don't think I've played a show where the crowd was not into Drew, you know. As far as frontmen go, he's fucking one of the best.
Because that's definitely, honestly, the everything on that record is amazing, the self-title and stuff, but like the vocals are like it's a highlight definitely on it, you know. It's a big thing.
On Endgame, the song Insurgents, the vocal patterns specifically on that song go fucking crazy too. He does these, I don't know, there's just like a chaos to the patterns and to how
the lyrics we wrote were pretty technical. Like we would just sit there with thesauruses and we'd be like, we want to say this, and like, okay, well, let's change every word to sound like we're fucking going to Harvard. And so like there's a lot of syllables for him to play with at that point, you know. So that definitely helped. But I mean, even from the Conducting from the Grave days, like he's always been like that. Whether it's my band or anybody else's band, he stands aside with his vocal patterns. They're just so unique, and like it's not that like he's just freestyling, but he is at some point. But he can also like once they're in the song, like he does them live. You know, like that's another thing, is that he doesn't have a hard time like singing what he's saying live in the recording. Like he's very, very good at even if he's singing something fucking impossible, he'll find some way to do it. He always finds some way to do it. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, dude, thank you so much, man, for doing this. Look, there's so much more shit we could tap into.
Yeah.
But the time fucking just flew by, man. I had an amazing time, man. Thank you so much for doing this with us. I'm very very honored to be able to talk with you, man. It was cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad our paths crossed when they did, and we got this all worked out. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to, and you asked great questions, and I think it was a great conversation. And hey, and next time, if you're willing to do it again, just let me know when, and I'll be on.
I might have to take you up on that, man. There's honestly, I told you off stream, I make myself some crazy fucking lists of shit, and we didn't go through half of it. So
same for me.
We'll reconvene for a part 2. We'll have plenty to talk about.
And going deeper also into producing country stuff, like I think that's also very interesting to talk about. So
yeah, well, I'm down for whatever. Y'all just let me know when.
All right, man.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, man. We'll let you get on with your night. And yeah, thanks again, my man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe or follow button and a review. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, it would mean the world and it helps out more than you know. A big thank you as well to all of our supporters over on Patreon and on Twitch. New episodes every week, links to our Patreon, Discord, and socials in the description. We'll see you soon. We're out.